Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the stars through the massive viewport. The ship was huge, over 2 kilometers long and armed with the best weapons Earth could build. It had been 3 months since they left the inner colonies, and the patrol had been quiet. Too quiet. "Captain, we're getting something strange on the communications array," said Lieutenant Torres from her station. Her fingers danced across the controls as she tried to make sense of the signal. "What kind of strange?" Chen asked, walking over to look at the displays. The bridge was busy with the usual sounds of a working starship. Crew members moved between stations, checking systems and monitoring space around them. "It's not a distress call. Well, it sounds like someone trying to talk to us, in our language." Torres frowned at her screen. "But the grammar is all wrong. Like they learned human language from a book but never heard anyone actually speak it." Chen felt a chill run down her spine. First contact protocols were clear, but this felt different. "Put it on the main speakers." The bridge fell silent as an alien voice filled the air. It was deep and harsh, with sounds that seemed impossible for a human throat to make. But the words were definitely in English, even if they were put together strangely. "Human vessel of war designation unknown. I am Admiral Vexthal of the Kethtar Armada. Your species travels in our space with ships that mock the ways of honorable combat. This cannot be allowed to continue." Chen exchanged glances with her first officer, Commander Rodriguez. This was not how anyone had imagined first contact would happen. The alien voice continued. "By the ancient laws of space warfare, I challenge your vessel to single combat. You will face our finest ships and prove your worth, or your species will be marked as unworthy of the void. You have 1 rotation of your planet to respond." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in complete silence. "Sir?" Torres looked up at the captain. "Should I send a response?" Chen thought carefully. Earth's military had trained for many scenarios, but a formal challenge to single combat was not one of them. She could try to avoid the fight, but that might make humanity look weak. And if these aliens were as warlike as they sounded, showing weakness could be dangerous. "Commander Rodriguez, what's our status?" she asked. "All systems are running at full capacity," Rodriguez replied. "Weapons, shields, engines, and everything is working perfectly. We have a full crew of 800 and enough supplies for 6 months. And what do we know about this area of space? Long-range sensors show we're in an asteroid field about 3 light-years from the nearest human colony. If these aliens have been watching us, they picked a good place for a fight. Lots of cover, but also lots of things to crash into." Chen nodded. The Retribution was the most advanced warship humanity had ever built. It had shields that could stop almost any weapon, armor thick enough to survive a nuclear blast, and enough firepower to destroy a small moon. If any human ship could handle unknown aliens, it was this one. "Open a channel," she said. Torres worked her controls. "Channel open, Captain." "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Retribution. I accept your challenge, Admiral Vexthal. Where and when do you want to fight?" The response came back quickly, as if the aliens had been waiting. "Your courage honors your species, Human Chen. We will meet in the place your people call the Meridian Asteroid Field in 6 of your hours. Prepare yourself for glorious battle." As the transmission ended, Chen turned to address her crew. Every face on the bridge was looking at her, waiting for orders. "All hands, this is the captain," she said into the ship's communication system. "We have made contact with an alien species called the Kethtar. They have challenged us to combat, and I have accepted. This is not the first contact scenario we trained for, but we are ready." She paused, looking around the bridge at her crew. These were good people, trained professionals who had volunteered to serve on the frontier. They deserved to know what they were facing. "We don't know much about these aliens yet, but they seem to follow some kind of warrior code. They respect strength and courage. We're going to show them that humans have both. All department heads report to the briefing room in 1 hour. Battle stations in 5 hours." The next few hours passed quickly. Chen met with her senior officers to plan their strategy. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the ship's xenobiologist, had studied the alien transmission and noticed some interesting things. Their language patterns suggest a very formal, hierarchical society, she explained. They seem to value honor and traditional combat methods. This might be some kind of ritual for them. "What does that mean for us?" asked Chief Engineer Martinez. "It means they might fight in predictable ways," Chen replied. "If they're bound by tradition and honor codes, they might not use certain tactics that we would consider normal." "Like what?" Rodriguez asked. "Like fighting dirty," Chen said with a small smile. Humans are good at that. As the ship moved toward the asteroid field, the crew prepared for battle. Weapons were charged, shields were tested, and damage control teams stood ready. The medical bay prepared for casualties, and the ship's small fighter squadron checked their craft. Chen stood in her ready room, looking at reports from all departments. Everything was as ready as it could be, but she couldn't shake the feeling that this battle would be different from anything they had trained for. A soft chime announced that someone was at her door. "Come in." Rodriguez entered with a cup of coffee. "Thought you might need this." "Thanks." Chen took the cup gratefully. "What do you think about all this?" "Honestly, I think we're about to find out why humans have a reputation for being crazy." Rodriguez sat down across from her. Most species probably would have tried to negotiate or run away. "We're actually going to fight unknown aliens because they dared us to." "Are you saying I made the wrong choice?" "No, I'm saying you made the human choice. And if these aliens want to see what that means, we'll show them." An hour later, the Retribution dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Meridian asteroid field. The space around them was filled with floating rocks, some as small as cars, others as large as cities. It was a navigator's nightmare and a tactician's dream. "Sensors are picking up 3 contacts," reported the tactical officer. "They're about half our size, but they're fast." "Really fast? On screen," Chen ordered. The main display showed 3 alien ships unlike anything human engineers had ever imagined. They were sleek and organic-looking, as if they had been grown rather than built. Their hulls seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, and energy crackled around them in patterns that looked almost alive. "Captain," Torres called out. "Incoming transmission. Admiral Vexthul here. Human Captain, you face the finest destroyers of the Kethtar fleet. Fight well and die with honor. Your species will be remembered as worthy opponents." Chen smiled grimly. "This is Captain Chen. We didn't come here to die, Admiral. We came here to win." The alien ships began to move, spreading out to surround the Retribution. Their movements were fluid and graceful, like predators preparing to strike. "All hands, battle stations," Chen announced. "Today we show the galaxy what humans can do." The first Kethtar destroyer came at them like a hunting cat, sliding between the asteroids with impossible grace. Its weapons lit up the darkness of space with beams of purple energy that seemed to bend and twist as they traveled. "Evasive maneuvers," Chen shouted as the alien fire struck their shields. The Retribution shook, but the barriers held. "Their weapons are doing something strange to our shields," reported the tactical officer. "The energy seems to be adapting, trying to find weak spots." Chen gripped her command chair as another blast hit them. The aliens were good, she had to admit. Their ships moved like they were alive, flowing around the human vessel's return fire with ease. "Target the lead ship. Full forward batteries," she ordered. The Retribution's main guns spoke with thunder. Massive beams of coherent energy lanced out toward the alien destroyer. But instead of hitting solid hull, the beams seemed to pass through a shimmering barrier that appeared around the enemy ship. "Direct hit, but no damage," the gunner reported. "Their shields are absorbing everything we throw at them." The second alien ship joined the attack, coming from the opposite direction. Now the human vessel was caught between 2 enemies, both firing those strange purple beams that seemed to get stronger with each shot. "Captain, I'm reading some kind of learning algorithm in their weapon systems," Dr. Tanaka called from her station. "They're studying our shields and adapting their fire to match our frequencies. How long before they break through? At this rate? Maybe 10 minutes, Chen's mind raced. Traditional tactics weren't working. The aliens were too fast, too adaptive. But humans hadn't conquered space by fighting fair. "Rodriguez, take us into that asteroid cluster. Close as you can get." "Captain, that's dangerous. If we hit one of those rocks at this speed, do it." The massive human warship dove toward a group of house-sized asteroids. The alien ships followed, their pilots confident in their superior maneuverability. "Martinez," Chen called to the chief engineer, "can you overload our mining lasers?" "The mining lasers? Captain, those aren't weapons. They're for breaking up space rocks for mineral extraction." "Exactly. How much power can you pump into them?" Martinez's eyes lit up as he understood. "If I reroute power from the secondary shields, probably enough to crack a small asteroid." "Do it. Target that big rock directly ahead of the lead alien ship." The Retribution's mining equipment wasn't designed for combat. The lasers were slow, clumsy things meant for careful industrial work. But when Martinez fed them 3 times their normal power, they became something else entirely. The asteroid exploded in a shower of rock and metal fragments. The lead Kethtar destroyer, graceful as it was, couldn't dodge thousands of pieces of flying debris. Its shields flared and sparked as the rocks hammered against them. "Their shields are down," the tactical officer shouted. "All weapons target the damaged ship." This time the human fire found its mark. The alien destroyer's hull cracked and split, venting atmosphere and sparks into space. It spun out of control and crashed into a larger asteroid, exploding in a ball of purple flame. The remaining 2 alien ships pulled back, regrouping. Chen could almost feel their surprise through the vacuum of space. "Incoming transmission," Torres reported. The voice of Admiral Vexthul came through the speakers, but this time it sounded different, less confident. "Human vessel. Your tactics are unusual, but the battle is not over." "No, it's not," Chen replied. "Your move, Admiral." The 2 remaining destroyers began to circle the Retribution, moving faster now. Their weapons had changed too. Instead of the adaptive purple beams, they were firing solid projectiles that exploded against the human shields with tremendous force. "They've learned from the first exchange," Tanaka observed. "They're using kinetic weapons now, trying to overwhelm our shields with brute force." The ship shook under the bombardment. Warning lights flashed on the bridge as systems began to overload. "Shield strength at 60%, the tactical officer reported. Chen looked around the bridge. Her crew was working frantically, trying to keep up with the alien attack, but she could see the determination in their faces. These people had volunteered to explore the unknown depths of space. They weren't about to give up now. "Rodriguez, can you get us close to that big asteroid? The one that looks like a potato?" "Yes, Captain, but why?" "Because I have an idea." "Martinez, how much explosive do we have in the agricultural bays?" The chief engineer blinked in confusion. "Explosive? Captain, we use those bays to grow food." "I know, but don't we use nitrogen compounds for fertilizer? And don't we have fuel cells for the farming equipment?" Understanding dawned on Martinez's face. "You want to make a bomb out of farming supplies. Can you do it?" "Give me 5 minutes and a prayer to whatever God protects crazy engineers." While Martinez worked his magic in the agricultural section, Chen guided the ship through the asteroid field. The alien destroyers followed, still firing their kinetic weapons. The Retribution shields were down to 30% and dropping. "Martinez, how's that bomb coming?" "Almost ready, Captain. But you'll have to get really close to the target for this to work." Close is what humans do best. Chen waited until both alien ships were positioned exactly where she wanted them, using a massive asteroid as cover. Then she gave the order, "Emergency stop. Full reverse thrust." The Retribution came to a sudden halt, its engines screaming in protest. The 2 alien destroyers, expecting the human ship to keep running, overshot their target and found themselves flying directly past the asteroid where Martinez had placed his improvised explosive. "Now, Martinez." The fertilizer bomb exploded with surprising force, cracking the asteroid in half. Both halves tumbled toward the alien ships, each piece as large as a city block. One destroyer managed to dodge. The other wasn't so lucky. The asteroid fragment caught it amidships, crushing the sleek hull like an egg. The ship broke apart, its crew lost to the void. The last alien destroyer turned and fled, disappearing into the maze of asteroids. "Should we pursue?" Rodriguez asked. Chen shook her head. "No, let them go. They'll tell their friends what happened here." The bridge crew began to relax, but Chen wasn't fooled. This had been just the beginning. The aliens had challenged them to prove humanity's worth, and she had a feeling that defeating 2 ships wouldn't be enough. "Damage report," she ordered. "Shields at 15%. Minor hull damage on decks 7 and 12. No casualties," the tactical officer reported. "And the alien ships?" 2 confirmed destroyed. Debris patterns suggest no survivors." Chen nodded grimly. They had won this battle, but it had been close. Too close. And something told her that the real fight was just beginning. "Torres, any other alien transmissions?" "Yes, Captain. Multiple signals, all in that same language. They're not talking to us, though. They're talking to each other." "Can you translate any of it?" Dr. Tanaka looked up from her analysis station. "Some of it. They're calling for reinforcements." "A lot of reinforcements." Chen felt her stomach drop. "How many ships are we talking about?" "Based on the signal patterns, maybe 50 or 60 vessels." The bridge fell silent. The Retribution was a powerful ship, but no vessel could face those odds and survive. "Captain," Rodriguez said quietly, "we could still run. Jump to faster than light and head for home." Chen looked at her first officer, then at the rest of her crew. These people trusted her to make the right choice. But what was the right choice? Run and live to fight another day? Or stay and face impossible odds? She thought about what the alien admiral had said. This was about proving humanity's worth. If they ran now, what would that prove? No, she said finally. We came here to show these aliens what humans are made of. Running away won't do that. So what do? Chen smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. We show them that humans don't just fight. We survive. Martinez, how long to repair our shields? 2 hours, maybe 3. Then we have 3 hours to get ready for the real battle. 3 hours later, they came. The Kethtar fleet arrived not as a coordinated military force, but as a swarm of angry warriors seeking revenge. Ships of all sizes dropped out of faster-than-light travel around the Retribution. Some were sleek military vessels like the destroyers they had already fought. Others looked like converted civilian craft, hastily armed with whatever weapons their crews could find. 63 contacts, the tactical officer reported, his voice tight with stress. Everything from destroyer class down to what looks like armed cargo haulers. Chen studied the tactical display. The alien ships were spreading out to surround them, but they weren't coordinating their approach. Each ship seemed to be acting independently, competing with the others to reach the human vessel first. Their formation is sloppy, Rodriguez observed. No unified command structure. That's because this isn't a military operation anymore, Dr. Tanaka explained from her station. Based on their communications, word of our victory has spread through their fleet. This is about honor now. Each ship captain wants to be the one who defeats us. Can we use that against them? Maybe. If they're not working together, we might be able to take them on in smaller groups. The first wave attacked before Chen could finish planning. 6 ships came at them from different directions, each trying to claim the glory of first strike. Their weapons fire lit up the asteroid field like a deadly fireworks show. Evasive maneuvers. Return fire on the closest targets, Chen ordered. The Retribution had spent the last 3 hours getting ready for this fight. Martinez had worked miracles with the ship's systems, rerouting power and makeshift repairs that shouldn't have been possible. The agricultural bays had been converted into ammunition factories, using the ship's 3D printers to create explosive devices from spare parts and fertilizer. The first alien ship to reach them paid the price for its eagerness. The Retribution's main guns tore through its hull, sending it spinning into an asteroid. But 5 more ships were right behind it, and their combined fire was more than the human shields could handle. Shield. Failure on the port side, the tactical officer reported as the ship shook under alien fire. Damage. Control teams to Deck 8, Rodriguez called into his communicator. Chen watched as more alien ships joined the attack. This wasn't going to be a battle. It was going to be a siege. Martinez, how many of those improvised explosives do we have? 47 devices of various sizes plus whatever we can make with the remaining supplies. Start launching them. Use the cargo bay doors. Make them look like debris. It was a desperate plan, but desperate was what humans did best. The Retribution began ejecting the improvised bombs, disguised as pieces of broken hull and damaged equipment. The alien ships focused on their attack runs didn't notice the fake debris floating between the asteroids. The first explosion caught a converted cargo hauler completely by surprise. The bomb, hidden inside what looked like a piece of broken antenna, detonated right next to the alien ship's engine section. The vessel disappeared in a ball of fire. One down, Chen muttered, but there were still over 50 ships left. The aliens adapted quickly. They began firing on anything that looked like debris, destroying Chen's hidden bombs before they could do damage. But the explosions served another purpose. They created clouds of metal fragments and ionized gas that interfered with the alien sensors. Use the debris clouds for cover, Chen ordered. Take us through that explosion zone. The Retribution dove into the wreckage of the destroyed alien ship. The metal fragments sparked against their hull, but the debris hid them from enemy targeting systems. When they emerged on the other side, they were right in the middle of a group of 5 alien ships. Point-blank range. Fire everything. At such close distance, the Retribution's weapons were devastating. 3 alien ships died in the first salvo, their hulls torn apart by energy beams and projectile weapons. The remaining 2 tried to retreat, but the human gunners tracked them carefully, picking them off as they fled. But the victory was costly. More alien ships were arriving every minute, and the Retribution was taking damage faster than the repair crews could fix it. Hull breach on Deck 12, Rodriguez reported. Emergency bulkheads are holding, but we've lost life support to that section. Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures. The tactical officer called out. Something big is coming. On the main screen, space twisted and bent as something enormous dropped out of faster-than-light travel. It was a ship that dwarfed even the Retribution, covered in weapons and armor that looked like it had been forged in the heart of a star. "This is Admiral Vexthul," came the transmission. "Human captain, you have fought well, but this ends now." The alien dreadnought opened fire with weapons that made everything they had faced so far look like toys. Beams of energy that could crack planets lanced out toward the human ship. "Emergency power to shields," Chen shouted. The barriers held, but barely. Warning lights flashed all over the bridge as systems overloaded. "Shields down to 10%, the tactical officer reported. "One more hit like that and we're finished." Chen looked around her bridge. Half the crew was wounded and everyone was exhausted. They had been fighting for hours against impossible odds, but they were still fighting. "Martinez, what's the status of our main reactor?" "Running at 120%. Any higher and she'll blow." "What if we redirected the reactor output through the deflector array?" Martinez's eyes widened. "Captain, that would create a focused energy discharge, but it would also probably destroy our forward section." "Would it punch through that dreadnought's shields?" "Maybe, but we'd have to get really close. And there's a good chance it would kill us too." Chen thought about her options. They could surrender, but she doubted the aliens would accept it now. They could try to run, but the alien fleet would just follow them back to human space. Or they could do what humans always did when cornered. They could get creative. "Ensign Webb," she called to the young communications officer. "You've been analyzing their transmissions all day. Do you understand their communication protocols?" "Some of them, yes, Captain." "Why?" "Because I have an idea. Can you send a message using their own communication system? Make it look like it's coming from one of their ships?" Webb's face lit up with understanding. "You want me to hack their fleet communications? Can you do it?" "I think so." "What message do you want to send?" Chen smiled, and it was the expression of a predator who had just spotted weakness in her prey. "Tell them that the human ship is damaged and trying to escape toward the large asteroid cluster. Tell them to converge on that position for the final attack." Webb's fingers flew over his controls. Within minutes, false messages were flooding the alien communication network, each one carefully crafted to look like legitimate tactical updates from Kethtar ship commanders. The effect was immediate. The alien fleet began to reposition, moving toward the asteroid cluster that Chen had indicated. They came in a dense formation, excited by the prospect of finally cornering their prey. "Now we wait," Chen said quietly. "For what?" Rodriguez asked. "For them to get exactly where I want them." When the alien fleet was packed tightly together in the asteroid field, Chen gave the order. "Martinez, overload the main reactor. Channel everything through the deflector array." "Captain, this is going to hurt." "Do it." The Retribution's reactor screamed in protest as Martinez forced it beyond all safe limits. Energy coursed through systems that were never designed to handle such power. The deflector array, normally used for pushing space debris out of the ship's path, became a weapon of unimaginable destruction. The beam that emerged from the human ship was like a miniature star. It burned through space, vaporizing asteroids and boiling the vacuum itself. When it struck the packed alien fleet, the result was catastrophic. Ships that had seemed invincible moments before simply ceased to exist. The energy beam punched through hulls, shields, and armor as if they were made of paper. In seconds, 30 alien vessels were reduced to expanding clouds of plasma. The Retribution paid the price for its desperate gambit. The forward section of the ship buckled and cracked, hull plating peeling away like old paint. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut to contain the damage, but the ship would never be the same. "Reactor is shutting down," Martinez reported. "Emergency power only." Chen looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet was in chaos. Half their ships were destroyed, and the survivors were scattered across the asteroid field. But they were regrouping, and the Retribution was defenseless. "Captain," Torres called out. "Incoming transmission from Admiral Vexthul. Put him through." The alien commander's voice was different now. Respectful, almost awed. "Human captain, in all my years of warfare I have never seen such creativity. But you are finished now. Your ship is crippled. Surrender, and your crew will be treated with honor." Chen looked around her bridge one last time. Her ship was dying, Her crew was exhausted and they faced an enemy that still outnumbered them 10-1. But they weren't dead yet. "Admiral Vexthol," she replied. "We humans have a saying. It's not over until it's over." The remaining Kethtar ships formed a tight circle around the crippled Retribution. There were still 23 alien vessels left, more than enough to finish off the human ship. But something had changed in the way they moved. The wild honor-seeking charges were gone, replaced by careful, coordinated attacks. "They're not taking any chances anymore," Rodriguez observed from his station. Half his control panel was dark, damaged by power overloads. Chen nodded grimly. The aliens had learned to respect human desperation. Now they were going to finish this fight with cold military precision. "Admiral Vexthul is moving his dreadnought into position," the tactical officer reported. "Looks like he wants to end this personally." The massive alien ship advanced slowly, its weapons charging for a final killing blow. Around it, the smaller vessels maintained their distance, ready to attack if the human ship tried any more tricks. "Captain," Martinez called from the engineering station, "I've got partial power restored to the backup reactor. Not much, but enough for life support and maybe one weapon system." "What about the engines?" "The main drive is completely fried, but I might be able to get some thrust from the maneuvering jets." Chen studied the tactical display. The Retribution was trapped in the center of a tightening noose of alien ships. Even if they could move, there was nowhere to run. "Dr. Tanaka," she called to the xenobiologist. "You've been studying their communications all day. What can you tell me about their psychology?" "They're warriors, but they follow strict codes of honor," Tanaka replied, her voice tired but determined. "The fact that they're being so careful now shows how much they respect our fighting ability. But it also means they're afraid. Afraid of what? Of us. Of what we might do next." Chen felt a spark of an idea forming. "Torres, can you still send transmissions?" "Yes, Captain. Communications are still working." "Good. Open a channel to Admiral Vexthol." The alien commander's face appeared on the main screen. He looked older than Chen had expected, with scars that spoke of many battles. But his eyes were sharp and intelligent. "Human Captain," he said formally, "you have fought well, but this battle is over. My ships have you surrounded. Your vessel is crippled. There is no escape." "You're right," Chen said, surprising everyone on her bridge. "We can't escape. Our ship is dying and we're outnumbered 20-1. Vexthol nodded slowly. "Then you will surrender?" "No," Chen said with a cold smile. "We're going to ram your ship." The alien admiral's expression changed to one of disbelief. "That would be suicide. Your ship would be destroyed." "Yes, it would. But so would yours. And that's something you need to understand about humans, Admiral. When we're cornered, when there's no way out, we don't just give up. We take our enemies with us." On the bridge of the Retribution, the crew listened to their captain's words with growing understanding. This wasn't just a bluff. Chen was preparing them for a suicide run. "Martinez," she said quietly without closing the communication channel, "how much power can you give me for one final burn?" The chief engineer's voice was steady. "I can overload the backup reactor. It'll give us maybe 30 seconds of thrust before everything explodes." "Will it be enough to reach that dreadnought, if we start from here?" "Yes, Captain, it'll be enough." Admiral Vexthol had been listening to this exchange with growing alarm. The humans weren't just threatening suicide. They were planning it with the calm efficiency of people who had accepted their fate. "You are insane," he said finally. "No," Chen replied. "We're human. There's a difference." The alien admiral studied the human captain for a long moment. In her eyes, he saw something that disturbed him deeply. She wasn't angry or afraid. She was absolutely certain that she would complete her mission, even if it killed her and everyone under her command. "What do you want?" he asked finally. "I want you to understand something," Chen said. "This isn't just about one ship or one battle. This is about what happens when anyone challenges humanity. We don't surrender. We don't retreat. We fight until we win or until we're all dead. And if I destroy your ship right now, then the next human ship that comes looking for us will find the wreckage of this battle. They'll see what happened here, and they'll know that humans died fighting impossible odds, and that will make them angry." Chen paused, letting that sink in. "Admiral, you faced one human ship today and lost more than half your fleet. How do you think you'll fare against 100 human ships? Or 1,000? On the bridge, Ensign Webb was watching his sensor displays with growing excitement. "Captain," he whispered urgently, "I'm picking up faster than light signatures. Multiple contacts. How many?" Chen asked, keeping her voice low. 12. No, 15 ships. They're human, Captain. It's the relief fleet. Chen's heart leaped, but she kept her expression neutral. She couldn't let the aliens know that help was coming. Martinez, she said casually. Begin the reactor overload sequence. Aye, Captain. Overload in progress. The Retribution's engines began to build power, preparing for their final suicidal charge. On the screen, Admiral Vexthul watched with fascination and horror as the human crew calmly prepared to die. You would truly do this? He asked. Sacrifice yourself and your crew for the sake of reputation? We'd do it for much less than that, Chen replied. We do it because you challenged us. The alien admiral was quiet for a long moment. Around his ship, the other Kethtar vessels waited for orders. They could destroy the human ship easily now, but Chen's words had shaken them. The idea of facing an entire human fleet seeking revenge was terrifying. Captain, Vexthul said finally, I would speak with you privately. Ship-to-ship communication only. Chen nodded to Torres, who adjusted the transmission. Now only the two command crews could hear the conversation. Speak, Chen said. Your species fights like no other I have encountered, the admiral said slowly. We Kethatar pride ourselves on our warrior traditions, but you humans, you are something else entirely. What do you mean? We fight for honor, for glory, for the approval of our ancestors. But you fight simply because you refuse to lose. It is terrifying. Chen remained silent, letting the alien commander work through his thoughts. If I withdraw my ships now, Vexthul continued, will your people leave this sector in peace? That's not my decision to make, Chen replied honestly. But I can tell you this. Humans don't start fights, Admiral, but we do finish them. Before the alien could respond, space around the battlefield exploded with light as 15 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The relief fleet had arrived. The new ships were fresh and undamaged, their weapons powered and ready for battle. Against the exhausted and reduced Kethtar fleet, they would be unstoppable. This is Admiral Harrison of the UES Devastator, came a new voice over the communications. Retribution, what is your status? Chen smiled for the first time in hours. Admiral, we're a bit beaten up, but we're still here. And the aliens? Chen looked at Admiral Vexthul on her screen. The alien commander's expression had changed completely. The confident warrior was gone, replaced by someone who had just realized he was facing a species that would send 15 warships to rescue one. I think, Chen said carefully, that the Admiral and I are about to have a very interesting conversation. Vexthul's shoulders slumped slightly. Around him, his surviving ships were already beginning to withdraw, recognizing that the battle was truly over. Human Captain, he said formally, I believe we have both learned something today. What's that, Admiral? That honor and courage take many forms, and that your species may be the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy. Chen nodded slowly. We don't want to be your enemies, Admiral, but we won't back down from a fight. I understand, and I believe that my people will want to understand as well. As the alien ships began their withdrawal, Chen finally allowed herself to relax. The battle was over and somehow, impossibly, they had survived. But she had a feeling that this was just the beginning of humanity's reputation among the stars. 6 hours later, Captain Chen stood in the Retribution's main docking bay, watching as repair crews from the relief fleet worked to patch the massive holes in her ship. The vessel that had fought so brilliantly was now little more than a floating wreck, held together by emergency bulkheads and the determination of her crew. Admiral Harrison walked up beside her, his face grim as he surveyed the damage. Sarah, I've seen the battle recordings. What you accomplished here? It shouldn't have been possible, Chen nodded tiredly. She had been awake for nearly 30 hours and the adrenaline was finally wearing off. We got lucky, Admiral, and we had a good crew. Lucky? Harrison shook his head. You faced over 60 alien ships and destroyed most of them. That's not luck. That's something else entirely. Through the docking bay's massive windows, they could see the debris field that stretched for millions of kilometers in every direction. The twisted remains of Kethtar ships drifted between the asteroids like a monument to the battle that had taken place. How many did we lose? Chen asked quietly. Final count is 347 crew members, Harrison replied. More than half your ship, Chen closed her eyes. Each of those people had volunteered to serve on the frontier, knowing the risks. But that didn't make their loss any easier to bear. They died heroes, Harrison continued. Every one of them. The reports are already spreading through human space. People are calling this the Battle of Meridian. And the aliens? That's the interesting part. Dr. Tanaka's linguistic analysis of their final transmissions shows something remarkable. They're not angry about their losses. They're respectful. Chen looked up in surprise. Respectful? According to the translation programs, the surviving Kethtar are calling you the captain who breaks fleets. It's apparently some kind of honorary title in their warrior culture. Before Chen could respond, Torres approached with a communication pad. Captain, you need to see this. We're receiving a formal transmission from the Kethtar fleet. Put it on the main display. Admiral Vexthul appeared on the screen, but he looked different now. His armor was damaged, and there was a weariness in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Behind him, Chen could see the bridge of his dreadnought, scarred and patched from the battle. Captain Chen, he said formally, I speak for the Kethtar Armada. We have witnessed your strength, your courage, and your creativity in battle. By the ancient laws of our people, we acknowledge your victory. Chen straightened, feeling the weight of the moment. Thank you, Admiral. Your people fought with great honor. Honor, yes, but honor without wisdom is meaningless. We have learned something today about the human species. You do not fight like warriors. You fight like something else. Something that does not accept defeat. Vexthul paused, choosing his words carefully. My people have controlled this sector of space for 1,000 years. We believed that our warrior traditions made us superior to all other species. But you have shown us that tradition without adaptation leads to destruction. What are you saying, Admiral? I am saying that the Kethtar Armada formally requests permission to serve as escorts for human vessels traveling through this sector. We would learn from your methods, your flexibility in combat. Chen exchanged glances with Admiral Harrison. This was unprecedented. An alien warrior culture was essentially asking to become allies after losing a battle. We would be honored by your escort, Chen replied carefully. But what about your territorial claims? What territory? Vexthul asked with something that might have been humor. You have demonstrated that space belongs to those strong enough to hold it. And your species is very strong indeed. The transmission ended, leaving the humans to contemplate what had just happened. They want to join us, Harrison said in amazement. An entire alien fleet wants to become our allies. It makes sense, Dr. Tanaka said, approaching with her analysis pad. Their whole culture is based on respecting strength and martial skill. We just demonstrated both in ways they never imagined possible. Chen nodded slowly. The Retribution had come to this sector as a single patrol ship. Now it was leaving as the catalyst for humanity's first major alien alliance. 3 weeks later, Chen stood on the observation deck of the U.S. Sanctuary, the mobile command ship that had been sent to establish a permanent human presence in the Meridian sector. Through the windows, she could see a sight that still amazed her. Human and Kethtar ships patrolled together, their formations integrated and coordinated. The aliens had adapted quickly to human tactics, while the humans had learned from Kethtar ship design and maneuvering techniques. Captain, came a voice behind her. She turned to see Ensign Webb, who had been promoted to lieutenant after his heroic hacking of the alien communications. What is it, Lieutenant? Long-range sensors are picking up another fleet approaching the sector. Unknown configuration, but they're definitely not human or Kethtar. Chen felt a familiar stirring of anticipation. How many ships? Preliminary count suggests around 100 vessels, Captain. And they're broadcasting on open frequencies. The translation computers are still working on the language, but the basic message seems to be some kind of challenge. Chen smiled. Word of the Battle of Meridian had spread through the galaxy faster than anyone had expected. Apparently, other species wanted to test humanity's reputation for themselves. Have Admiral Harrison prepare the fleet, she said, and send a message to Admiral Vexthul. Tell him we might need his help again. Yes, Captain. Should I inform the newcomers that we accept their challenge? Chen thought about the crew of the Retribution, about the people who had died proving that humans would never surrender. She thought about the Kethtar warriors who had learned to respect human determination. And she thought about the future, when humanity would face other challenges among the stars. No, she said finally, don't tell them we accept. Tell them we're waiting. As the unknown fleet approached, Chen reflected on how much had changed since that first challenge from Admiral Vexthul. The Retribution was gone, scrapped for parts after taking too much damage to repair, but its legacy lived on in the alliance between humans and Kethtar, and in the stories that were already spreading through galactic civilization. The story of a single human ship that had been challenged by an alien fleet. The story of a crew that had fought against impossible odds and somehow survived. The story of a species that simply refused to accept defeat no matter what the cost. Lieutenant Webb returned with a communication pad. Captain, the translation is complete. The approaching fleet is called the Hegemony of Worlds. They're demanding that all human and Kethtar vessels leave this sector immediately, or face destruction. And Admiral Vexthul's response? He says his ships are ready to fight alongside ours. He also wanted me to tell you that he's looking forward to learning some new human tactics. Chen laughed, surprising herself. A year ago, she had been a simple patrol captain, responsible for 1 ship and 800 crew members. Now she was helping to shape humanity's future among the stars. Very well, Lieutenant. Signal the fleet. All ships, prepare for battle. As the alarms began to sound throughout the human and Kethtar vessels, Chen took one last look at the debris field that marked the site of the Battle of Meridian. The wreckage of alien ships drifted silently among the asteroids, a permanent reminder of what happened when someone challenged human determination. Soon, there would be more debris. More stories, more legends, because that was what humans did. They survived. They adapted. They fought when they had to fight, and they never ever gave up. The approaching alien fleet had no idea what they were about to face. But they would learn, just as the Kethtar had. They would learn that challenging humanity was easy. Surviving the challenge was something else entirely. Chen smiled as she watched the Hegemony ships grow larger on the tactical displays. The Battle of Meridian was over, but the legend of human space warfare was just beginning. And somewhere in the galaxy, other alien civilizations were receiving reports about a species that fought like nothing anyone had ever seen before. A species that turned farming equipment into weapons, that used mining lasers as artillery, and that would rather die fighting than surrender. The reports all carried the same warning, passed from one species to another across the vast darkness of space. Do not challenge the humans. They fight fiercely, and none who face them ever return. It was a warning that Chen hoped other species would heed, but somehow she doubted they would. Humans, it seemed, were going to be very busy among the stars.